Tips for catching common carp in USPE lakes. Pro secrets for anglers, yo, fishing squad. Welcome back to Fishing 24 Hours, your go-to channel for epic fishing adventures, killer tips, and stories that'll get your heart pumping. Today we're diving deep into the art of catching common carp in US. Pay lakes, those stocked lakes where carp are smarter than your average fish and tougher to hook than a wild trout. Think you can just toss out some bait and reel in a monster carp? Think again. Pay lakes, especially open ones with no shade or underwater structure like tree roots or rocks, make carp fishing a real challenge. But don't sweat at this video packed with pro secrets to land carp like a boss, from gear setup to bait, chum, timing, and techniques. Grab an ice-cold soda, kick back, and let's jump into this carp hunting adventure. It all started one crisp morning at Lake Ray Hubbard, Texas, where the water sparkled and carp cruised like they owned the place. Me and my crew rolled up, loaded with cornmeal bait and high hopes, casting lines near the open shore. But under the blazing sun, no shade, no logs or rocks, our floats sat dead for hours, even with carp teasing us just below the surface. I was ready to call it quits when my buddy Jake, the group's gearhead, who's always testing new tricks, nudged me and said, "Yo, these Pele carp are cagey. Drop a small hook with fishy bait near the muddy bank, chum heavy and keep it quiet." I took his advice, rigged a size 6 hook with a tiny worm, chummed with fishy cornmeal, and cast near the shore's edge. In under 10 minutes, my float dove, and I reeled in a 5-pound carp, splashing like it was auditioning for a movie. The crew went wild, hollering like we'd won the Super Bowl. That day, I bagged more carp, my bucket overflowing, grin plastered on my face. Yes! When it hit me. Carp fishing in Pay Lakes is next level if you play it smart. In this video, we're unpacking the ultimate guide to catching common carp in US Pay Lakes, especially those wide open ones with no shade or structure. We'll cover why carp are tougher to catch here, the gear you need, bait and chum recipes, the best times to fish, pro techniques, real-world stories from Lake Ray Hubbard and Smith Mountain Lake, tips for beginners, and safety notes. These tricks work in Pay Lakes across the US, from Texas to Virginia, for carp, bluegill, and even channel catfish. Let's dive in. Why are common carp in Pay Lakes hard to catch? Common carp in Pay Lakes are a different beast compared to their cousins in rivers or wild lakes. Raised in controlled environments, they're fed commercial pellets, making them picky, skittish, and super sensitive to changes. In open Pay Lakes, especially rural ones with no shade, tree roots, or rocks, carp roam freely, rarely settling in one spot. Noise, shadows, bright sunlight, or off-target bait can send them bolting. They nibble cautiously, favoring small, smelly, easy-to-digest bait, especially in warm water under the sun. That's why you need to nail every detail: rod, hook, bait, chum, and timing. One wrong move, like casting in open sun or skimping on chum, and you're going home empty-handed. I fished countless Pay Lakes, and mastering these details is the key to landing trophy carp. Fishing in open Pay Lakes with no shade or structure in rural US Pay Lakes, like those wide open waters in Texas or Virginia, the lack of shade and underwater structure like sunken logs or rocks makes carp harder to pin down. They don't have obvious hideouts, so you've got to create your own hotspot with heavy chumming. Target the lake's edges near muddy banks or shallow zones where carp forage for food. Spread fishy chum like cornmeal mixed with fish oil 20 minutes before casting to draw carp in. Drop your bait to the bottom, 6 to 8 inches deep, where carp scour for grub. Use a sensitive float, set to balance 8 fish 4 to catch their light nibbles. Avoid casting in the lake's center under direct sun carp. Shy away from bright, deep water. At Lake Ray Hubbard, I've lured carp by chumming heavily near the muddy shore and fishing the bottom, pulling fish consistently. Fishing gear for common carp: your gear needs to be on point to tackle Pay Lake carp. Rod: go for a 12 to 15-foot rod, medium action, suited for carp from 4 to 10 pounds. A 14-foot rod is perfect, light enough for long casts in open lakes like Smith Mountain Lake, but strong for big fighters. Too soft, and you'll lose control. Too stiff, and you'll miss the feel of light bites. Reel: pick a 2000 to 3000 series reel, lightweight with smooth drag for quick retrieves. A 2,500 reel balances power and ease, handling 6 to 8 pound carp without tiring you out. Check the drag before each trip to avoid jams when a big carp runs. Use a main line of 0.25 to 0.30 millimeters, 6 to 8 pound test, for strength. The leader should be thinner. 0.20 to 0.25 millimeters, 4 to 6 pound test, to stay invisible to wary carp. At Lake Ray Hubbard, a 0.22 millimeters leader fooled carp into biting. Inspect your line for where to prevent breaks. Float. Choose a sensitive float with a slim body and bright colors red-yellow, to spot under sunlight. A 2 to 3 gram float is ideal, catching light carp nibbles. Set it to balance 7, fish 3 in pay lakes with shade, or balance 8, fish 4 in open lakes for bottom fishing. Weight. Use small weights, 2 to 3 grams, to hold bait at the bottom without sinking the float too deep. Teardrop weights work best in muddy bottom pay lakes. Heavy weights make bait look unnatural, spooking carp. Go for small, sharp hooks, size 6 to 9, matching the carp's mouth. Size 6 hook is gold for 4 to 6 pound carp. Check hook sharpness before casting. Dull hooks lose fish. At Smith Mountain Lake, a size 7 hook with small bait hooked carp all day. Making carp bait is make or break for pay lake carp, especially in open lakes where they're extra choosy. Commercial bait. Grab carp-specific boilies or pellets, like dynamite baits or Berkeley power bait, with fishy or sweet scents. Mix with lake water, form into small balls the size of a fingertip, and wrap around a size 6 hook. Swap every 10 to 15 minutes to keep the scent fresh, especially in sunny conditions. Homemade bait. This gives you an edge. Use cornmeal, wheat flour, soybean meal, mashed sweet potato, salted egg yolk, and molasses. Mix 1 part cornmeal, 1 part wheat flour, 0.5 parts soybean meal, and 0.2 parts mashed sweet potato. Add 1 salted egg yolk and 1 tablespoon molasses for scent. Blend with lake water until it's sticky but not too wet or crumbly. Form balls 0.2 to 0.4 inches wide for size 6 to 8 hooks. At Lake Ray Hubbard, this bait drew carp like a magnet when fished near the bottom. Forming bait. Roll bait tightly, keeping it small to avoid scaring carp. If it's too loose, add cornmeal. If too sticky, add wheat flour. Test bait to ensure it holds in water for 10 minutes without dissolving. Chumming to attract carp. Chum is your secret weapon to pull carp in, especially in open lakes with no structure. Chum ingredients: mix fishy chum like fish meal pellets, cornmeal, soybean meal, and commercial carp bait for extra scent. Ratio: 2 parts fish meal, 1 part cornmeal, 1 part soybean meal, 0.5 parts commercial bait. Add lake water for a loose, spreadable mix. How to chum. Spread chum 15 to 20 minutes before fishing. Focusing on lake edges near muddy banks or shallow zones. In open lakes, use 7 to 10 ounces per session, split into 3 to 4 spreads. Chum lightly every 30 minutes to keep carp around. At Smith Mountain Lake, fishy chum drew carp in 10 minutes. Note, don't over-chum carp get full and ignore your bait. Don't under-chum, or they'll wander off. Best times to fish for carp. Timing is everything. Carp in pay lakes feed hardest early morning, from 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m., when it's cool and sunlight is soft, drawing them to the bottom for food. Late afternoon, from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., is another prime window. Avoid midday sun, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., when carp hide in deeper water or stop feeding, especially in open lakes. Cool seasons, November to February. Carp feed lightly, preferring fishy baits like worms or fish meal pellets, easy to digest. Fish the bottom, 6 to 8 inches deep. Warm seasons, May to August. Carp are pickier, favoring light-scented baits like cornmeal with molasses. Fish midwater, 4 to 6 inches deep, near lake edges. At Lake Ray Hubbard, early mornings in summer were gold for big carp. Carp fishing technique seals the deal. Casting bait. Drop bait gently to avoid ripples. Critical in open pay lakes with skittish carp. Lower the rod slowly, letting bait sink naturally to the bottom, 6 to 8 inches deep. Use a sensitive float, set to balance 8 fish 4 in open lakes, reading the float. Tell carp bites from wind. Carp nibbled lightly, making the float quiver slowly or sink steadily. Wind causes sharp, erratic shakes. Wait for a full sink or steady pull, then set the hook lightly to avoid tearing. At Smith Mountain Lake, I lost a carp mistaking wind for a bite, so watch closely. Setting the hook. When carp bites, set the hook firmly but not too hard, keeping the rod at a 45-degree angle to secure the hook. For big carp, keep the line tight, reel steadily, and angle the rod to tire them out without snapping the line. At Lake Ray Hubbard, I battled a 9-pound carp for 10 minutes by keeping the line steady and rod angled. Real-world experience, flexibility, and observation are key. Watch other anglers. If they're catching, ask about their bait, depth, or technique. At Lake Ray Hubbard, I saw a guy using sweet potato bait and copied it, landing carp right away. Switch baits. If carp ditch your chum spot after 15 minutes, try worms or commercial pellets. Prep 2 to 3 bait recipes: cornmeal with molasses, worms, and commercial boilies. Stay quiet. Avoid loud talking or splashing, especially in open lakes. Pick a calm shore spot and sit still to keep carp relaxed. Read the water. Bubbles, ripples, or carp shadows signal a feeding spot. If your float's still, move or re-chum. These tricks kept me hooking carp at Smith Mountain Lake, even in open water. Real story 1. Lake Ray Hubbard one scorching morning at Lake Ray Hubbard. My crew and I set up for a chill fishing session. My buddies cast in the open water, baking under the sun, floats dead. I picked a muddy bank, chummed heavily with fishy cornmeal, and dropped a size 6 hook with a worm. In 10 minutes, my float dove, and I reeled in a 6-pound carp, thrashing like a rock star. The gang went nuts. Open lake fishing is legit. That day, I hooked more carp, my bucket heavy, an adventure for the books. Real story 2. Smith Mountain Lake another time. At Smith Mountain Lake in the late afternoon, we tried our luck near a shallow shore. My friends used big hooks and loud chatter, their floats lifeless. I chose a quiet bank, chummed with soybean meal mix, and cast a size 7 hook with cornmeal bait. In 8 minutes, my float sank, and I pulled up a 5-pound carp, gleaming in the sun. The crew cheered. Man, that's how you do it. I added more carp to my haul, feeling like the king of the lake. Tips for beginners: if you're new to fishing, pay lake carp are a great challenge. Start with cornmeal bait, fished at the bottom near muddy banks, or try worms on a size 6 hook in chummed spots. Note which baits and spots work, like carp after rain. Don't stress. If your floats still move to a new shore spot or use fishier bait, focus on early mornings or late afternoons, stay quiet, and chum regularly. These skills build observation and patience, setting you up for big carp. Safety notes: safety first. Avoid slippery banks, especially after rain at Lake Ray Hubbard, to prevent falls. At Smith Mountain Lake, wear a life jacket near outflows, where currents are strong. Keep noise low and avoid casting shadows on the water. Carp spook easily. Set a light behind you for late fishing to avoid tripping. Store bait in a sealed, cool container to prevent spoilage. A little caution keeps your trip safe and chill. Prepping for the trip: prep is everything. Check sunrise, sunset times via weather apps for prime fishing windows. 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. or 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pack diverse baits: cornmeal mix, worms, commercial pellets. Prep 2 to 3 bait recipes for flexibility. Store bait in a sealed cooler. Bring a 14-foot rod, 2,500 reel, 0.30 millimeters line. Size 6 to 8 hooks, 2 to 3 gram weights, and a sensitive float. Pack a chair, sunshade, and non-slip shoes for comfort. Watch for bubbles, ripples, or carp shadows to pick your spot. If no bites in 15 minutes, move or refresh bait. Advanced tips to level up. Master shore selection. Twitch your rod lightly to spread bait scent, or mix Fisher chum with fish oil. Fish multiple pay lakes, noting ripples and muddy zones. Use fresh worms or Malice's lace cornmeal. In crowded lakes, find a quiet corner. If carp are slow, twitch every 2 to 3 seconds. Use a more sensitive float, set to balance 8, fish for 4 light bites. These tweaks make you a pay lake pro, even in open water. Wrap up: catching common carp in U.S. pay lakes is an art, blending gear, bait, chum, and timing. 4 pro tips. Fish the bottom. Use small hooks and bait. Go for fishy or sweet scents and stay quiet. 3 keywords: prep, scent, stealth. Every cast in the right spot, carp swarming, floats, diving, feels like an epic quest. When your float dips, heart racing, rod grip tight, that's a moment only anglers get. Rookie or pro, these secrets make you the boss of any pay lake. That's a wrap, squad. We've cracked the code for carp fishing in pay lakes. From gear to bait to dodging mistakes. Hope you're pumped to test these tips. Smash like, share with your fishing crew, and subscribe to Fishing 24 Hours for more epic guides. Got a carp fishing story that's pure fire? Drop it in the comments, I'm dying to hear. Tight lines, monster catches, see you on the next adventure.